I've just come away after a visit to the Caliber Educational Foundation, and what's happening there is very, very exciting. So I'm at the home of the managing trustee and co-founder Madhuvanthi Arun. She founded the school along with her husband Arun. Is this the most logical move since you come from a family of eminent educationists?
I don't know about the logic part of it, but then this came from the heart, and Arun and I very strongly felt that the field of education needs a lot more than what it is getting at the moment, considering the number of NRIs who are getting shifted back into Chennai and the number of people moving, and the fact that the world is becoming a global village whether we like it or not. So we decided we should have something to do with proactive global citizens, and that's the baseline of the Caliber Educational Foundation. And at that point in time, my grandmother, Mrs. YGP, was turning 80. So I also felt very strongly that she started her school in somebody else's name, Padma Seshadri, and there's nothing in her name. For the amount of things she's done for the field of education here.
Yes.
So I said, let's do something in her name as well. So we started it off as Mrs. YGP Preschool Nursery and the Caliber Academy, and Dr. Kalam, who was then the President of India, did the soft launch for us when he came down to greet her for her 80th birthday. So that's how Caliber started. And
well, you answered my question, because I was going to ask you, why couldn't you have implemented whatever changes in Padma Seshadri's school?
See, what happens is that's a time and tested model. It's been running for 50 years. And it's difficult to go and say, ambassador, suddenly become an Audi 4. Not happening. So I said, okay, ambassador is good. Let me go one step further. They say, ta 8 adi panja, kutti 16 adi payo. So idu kutti plus kutti. So at least 32 adi payanongra. You know, there was an interest, and she was all for it. She said, I think you should try and do this by yourself.
She's very meticulous and very hard to please. So what does she think about it?
Oh, she is very happy, very proud. And she says, yes, because we said Caliber Educational Foundation and Mrs. YGP. So she said, I hope it's synonymous. I said, watch. Yeah. Today she's a very, very proud grandmother, and she says, you've gone beyond being synonymous, and I'm very proud of you.
That's wonderful hearing that from your grandmother, who's so renowned.
Yes.
Now, you have until class 6, right, Madhu?
No, we have until class 9.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's in 4 different campuses.
Yes, we started off in one campus, but then because we have a totally different concept, we don't have the concept of classrooms. We have what is called learning stations or labs per se. So the children move from lab to lab. And at any given point in time, there are 2 instructors. The lab instructor, who's specifically well endowed and well groomed in the subject specific, and the batch instructor who's trained to handle the batch. So they have to keep moving. So we can't possibly fit it all into one campus because we need this space. So we've made it 4 campuses within 4 years of us starting.
And what's good is that all these places are very easily accessible.
Yes, one street away from each other technically, so it's very easily accessible by all of us, although it is a job.
Would you like to tell us the locations?
Yes, we have one in Mylapore, Krishnaswamy Avenue, where our pre-KG, pre-kindergarten students and the upper kindergarten and standard 1 study. We have one on the adjacent lane, Balaya Avenue, where the 2nd and 3rd grade study. Our most latest campus that you just visited is Roypetta, where it's an 8,000 square feet building on Avai Shanmugam Salai, where 4th to 9th study. And the lower kindergarten, LKG, study in a little quaint little campus just off Tulsi Silks, which is the Mrs. YGP preschool and nursery.
Now, I know that you do a lot of e-learning and computers play a very, very important role. So will you tell us a little bit about this model and the partnership that you have?
Yes, we basically have a partnership with a school in the UK. It's called the Edward Richardson Primary in Thetford, Lincolnshire. We struck this partnership even before Caliber started. So when we started, we had the partnership going. And something very interesting that I found when I visited that school was they had what is called an ICT board. Now, ICT is basically interactive computer technology, and it's called the smart board. So it's a touchscreen board where they were able to kind of reinforce what was taught in the other main subjects through audiovisual, through 3D, through games, through graphics, and the child's memory and the learning happened much better. So I saw that there, and I said, I must have that here. And we've made sure that every campus of ours has a touchscreen board, a smart board as we call it, and we don't have notebooks and textbooks from pre-KG to 3rd grade.
That's exactly where I was getting to. Aren't you taking away the tactile and the sensory experience from a child? Because this is very debatable, yeah?
Yes, it is.
Substitute.
But the point is, I have not said we are not having them write at all. They do write in school. Writing is very important, but they have worksheets. They do have reading. They do have a lot of extra reading. But what happens is when I confine it to a set of notebooks and textbooks, that's all is taught and that's all is learned. And I don't like that. I want it to go beyond. And whether we like it or not, the children today are so adept with technology and the current scenario that I'd rather put it to good use than them going into some sites that they shouldn't be seeing.
But you know, that's going to be inevitable, Madhu, the computer and the keyboard.
Exactly.
Because people are forgetting how to write. I don't write anymore. I can only work on the computer.
Exactly.
So
that is inevitable. That is the way forward. It's like, you know, in those days we had a pigeon sending us messages. Then we had the telephone. Today we have the cell phone. Can you and I think of living without that cell phone? We can't. Yeah. So we have to go the way forward, but at the same time we can't not write at all and forget our handwriting.
So what kind of balance
See, what we do is we have writing. We make them write a lot. We make them write journals. We have them writing letters. We have them writing their answers out on the worksheets. But we don't have these 40-page ruled notebooks per se, and just the set of prescribed textbooks. They have guidebooks. The teacher has to do a lot of research, go into the library. We have 4 libraries set up in each of these, per campus a library, which is not actually required, but we're doing it because we want the teacher to go right in, do her research, come up with all these worksheets, make sure the child gets to write and read a lot more than what is prescribed per se.
Do you have a good old cursive writing?
I do cursive, but I feel the way forward is print, Anu, because what happens is today everything is printed in print. You read print, and then you want the child to write cursive. Child gets completely confused. But I do cursive writing to develop the handwriting of the child, but that's it. I don't insist upon it, no.
And the teachers, now how do you choose them? Do they need to have just a B.Ed or what are the qualifications?
They have to have their basic degree, and 4th upwards, yes, the B.Ed is required, but the first prerequisite is they have to have it in them to be a teacher. Because some of the top PhDs can be the worst of teachers. We've had those experiences while growing up. But we have to make sure that they have it in them to be a teacher. So I handpick my teachers. I make sure I have conversations with them time and again to make sure they're in the right track. Because here in Caliber, the system is totally different. They have to be computer savvy. They have to do a lot more research than what they would have probably done if it was a prescribed set of textbooks. 4th upwards, yes, we do follow CBSE because that is a prerequisite. But again, we have our own research and development happening. We don't follow the same textbook every year. We change our textbooks. We are only guidebooks, and the homework is uploaded 4th upwards. So there's a lot of work for the teacher here.
And do your teachers undergo training?
Yes, we train them. We train them. Once we take them on, there is about 2 to 3 months of training happening.
By people who come from the UK? Or
yes, we have them. We train them ourselves also. We have a bunch of people, the senior teachers here who are into the groove already, start training their junior counterparts. And of course, we have our exchange programs happening regular between the UK school and our school. So it's constantly in touch. We video conference, at least once in 2 months we video conference with our UK counterparts. We do, the ICT curriculum is completely correlated with the UK school. So there's a lot of technical stuff happening.
You do see Mrs. YGP's passion in her granddaughter. Probably more.
Oh my God. You've made my day.
So when we come back after the break, Madhuvanthi will tell us what kind of role her grandmother played in her life, her dad. I mean, she comes from such an illustrious family, but so we have a lot to talk about. Stay tuned to Off the Record.